It has been way too long since I've gotten to work on this car. If you didn't already know, this is a fully functioning shop. I work on other people's cars. I've had a lot going on in the shop and I just have not had time to deal with any of my own projects. But now I have 2 of my own projects in the shop. But today is about this car right here. So if you didn't already know, this is a 2014 Audi A4. This car has been fully manual swapped from an S4. Okay, so the plan and what we're gonna try to do in this video is gonna be to swap this subframe. This is out of a B8.5 Audi RS5. So the reason I need to swap the subframe is because this is a B8.5 chassis A4. The B7 generation S4 had a 4.2 liter V8 in. When they went to the B8 generation, they kept the subframe the same because the power steering and all that was all the same. All they did was just adapt it so they could fit the V6s and the inline 4s into that subframe. However, when they went to the B8.5 generation, they went to electronic power steering. And the only car that retained a V8 when they went to electronic power steering is the Audi RS5. It'll allow me to bolt the engine I want into this car right here while retaining my electronic power steering and all of my stuff being exactly the same. So I went ahead and ordered this subframe from Lifetime Audi Parts, and they were nice enough to send me a shirt with my order and a sticky note that said good luck with your swap. So I think they found me on either Facebook or YouTube, I don't really know. But I did want to note, I do really appreciate all the support in the last video. I did not expect it to do that well. So that's one of the things we need to do is swap this subframe. The next thing I need to do is the rear differential. Now, this is becoming a bit of a complex situation because when I bought this whole manual drivetrain from that S4, I was under the impression that this was a non-sport diff, but actually I think this is a sport diff because it's got all the solenoids and all the stuff on the back. So that makes for a bit of a problem because this car does not have a sport diff. Therefore, there's no electronics, there's nothing to read the sport diff. And so if I just install this, I don't really know how it's gonna work. However, if I leave the differential in this car, well, one, it's not rated to handle the power that this car is gonna be making. Also, it's an open diff, so it's not really gonna help me very much in the traction department. The other thing is that it's a different gear ratio. So I actually can't run it with this transmission because on the front wheels, the back wheels are gonna try to turn at 2 different speeds and that's gonna be a problem. So I'm gonna just bolt this differential in there and not plug it in, and we'll see what happens. I think I might have to order axles. I don't think I got axles from this. So anyways, Roman, if you're watching, the guy who sold me all these parts, I may need those axles. Also, I might need that little clip for the transmission. Now, moving over to this side of things, these are the brakes out of the S6 donor car. The car that the engine is coming out of and most everything that I need parts-wise for the 4-liter. I am planning on putting these brakes in this car because I would like 6-piston Brembos. I think they're cool. Also, the upgrade is gonna be pretty nice. Now, these actually bolt directly into the car. Everything works. They plug in just fine. The plug styles are the same. The points where they all plug in, the brake lines will connect just fine. Calipers bolt up fine. The only problem is that my wheels do not fit over these calipers. I have 19-inch wheels. I really like them and I want to keep them, and I want to keep this thing as standard A4 looking on the outside as possible. I kind of want to build it a sleeper car at first, and then from there we're going to kind of like ramp it up slowly. But we are probably going to have to grind down these things and try to fit them in those wheels, and I would like to try to do that. These rear brake discs are bigger than the front brake discs on this car, which maybe doesn't sound that crazy, but these things are huge. So we're swapping the rear brakes as well. I'm kind of just putting everything in the car, and then we will problem solve until we figure out how to make it run and operate and function. What I'm really excited about is once we swap this subframe, we should be able to start mocking up the engine. I have a block over there on the shelf. I don't know if you can see it, but that is actually gonna be the same block to the engine that's going in this car, so I can put the shell in there and I can see like how it's gonna mount. Now you do have to cut part of the transmission. There's this little notch you have to cut off. I went ahead and did that. I cut way more than I needed to, but it's not the end of the world. It's just a little more dirt might get in there. Like I've said many times, you can research all you want, but at some point you just gotta put the things in the car and see what happens. This camera does not do it justice. This thing is massive. Now, it is obviously not seated all the way on, but you can see down here on the bottom, we have just the smallest little sliver. Okay, well that was way more work than I anticipated and a lot more grinding than I thought, but it's done. You can see we have shavings literally everywhere. Yeah. Anyways, it's on there. It clears just barely. I don't know if you can even see daylight in there, but it just barely clears. There's like probably 0.5 millimeter of clearance all the way around. And if you look at these spokes, look how close those are. Like, ridiculous. But I'm actually gonna put like a 5 millimeter spacer, 5 or 10 millimeters, and I'm gonna space these wheels out. That way they're a little more flush with the fenders, but also that will give us more clearance, because realistically this doesn't work. Even though technically there's a gap in there, with the heat and expansion of everything and the weight of the car and like forces moving back and forth, I'm gonna assume that that gap will probably close at some point. If I can get it to fit without the spacers and not be rubbing, then once we put the spacers on, we should have all the clearance that we need. As you can see, we took a lot of material off this entire thing. Like, realistically, this probably isn't worth it. And a lot of people would just say, you know, go find a set of 20s that are this style, like from an RS5 or something. But they do look a little bit different, and it's just not quite the same. So yeah, we're gonna create a bunch more shavings and get the rest of this thing done. Look at how much material came off of this thing. We got it though, they fit. Well, after hours of grinding, we got them to fit. Fitment is a little bit too tight, but they do clear. So I just ordered 12 millimeter spacers to pull this thing out, because they're so tight right in here and up here. And I will actually end up ripping my wheel weights off because they don't clear right here either. So spacers will pull these out enough. So that'll be that. Next up, we're gonna pull this front subframe off of this car. So in order to do that, we have to disconnect all of these bolts up here, over here, and then disconnect our axles and our steering shaft. A couple other little things, I'm sure, and then 8 bolts on the bottom. This thing will drop right out. I wanted to keep the rotors from hitting the ground, so that's why I left the wheels and tires on. But that's it. That's our subframe. So now I gotta get everything unbolted from it and then transferred over to this subframe right here. So it shouldn't be too hard. It shouldn't take too much work, but it will take a little bit of time, mostly because suspension stuff is always kind of a pain. But yeah, we'll get going on it and see how far we get. There's so many better ways I think I could have done that. Sometimes you just gotta do it and just hope it goes well. So if I were to do this job again, what I would do is not unbolt the upper suspension mounting things, and I would actually just unbolt everything underneath, pull the subframe out of the bottom, and then stick it back in there, because the way that this all went out of the car was a pain in the butt. Everything was flopping in, and like you can see on the time lapse, it took way more effort and way more time than it should have. But it's done. The RS5 frame is officially in the car. We got a couple things to button up real quick, and then we can mock up the engine and see how it fits in the car. If you guys are ever doing this swap yourself and you go ahead and order the subframe, make sure you get these motor mount brackets. Sometimes scrapyards don't give you these. Luckily, Lifetime Audi Parts went ahead and provided those with the subframe. I asked them to in the comments of the order. I just asked that they would include those as well. And they included those. Some places might not. You might have to buy them separate. I don't really know. All I know is that they are really hard to find. If you don't get them, they can be quite tricky to track down. So let me show you this car right here because I think it's pretty cool. This is the daily that I bought for my project. So typical car guy fashion, I bought a daily for my project. That is actually now a project. So this is a 2015 A3. As you can see, we've got some problems. I bought it broken. I got a good deal on it, and this is why it blew an entire piston apart. So that's really cool. But anyways, the block is good. The block is all re-honed and finished and cleaned and everything's done. Now all I need to do is, once I get my new pistons, I will install all my new pistons, do timing, and then this thing will be good to go. So this is a project car. Let me know if you guys want to see any videos on this car. This thing actually has aftermarket turbos. It's basically stage 3 build. It's got intake, turbo, exhaust, downpipe, a ton of mods. But I got a great deal on it because, well, obvious reasons. And yeah. But anyways, if you want to see videos on that, let me know. I will make videos on that too. All right, well, it is the next day, and we are ready to put an engine, or at least part of an engine, in the car. So that's what we're gonna do. I got the transmission all buttoned up, motor mounts are in, and now all we need to do is see if that thing will fit. So essentially, this is just a 4OT shell. This has no crankshaft, no pistons, no nothing. It's just the upper oil pan, the lower block / girdle, and the upper block. That's it. It weighs probably 100 pounds and semi-manageable to just lift by hand. Find a place to grab it. There it went. We are fully seated. There she is. She fits. RS5 subframe and a B8.5 A4 does in fact work with a 4OT. Although you do need that motor mount adapter by JXB. I'm not totally sure, but there was a gap right here, and I did get these 2 spacers from JXB. I don't know if this is where these go, or if they go somewhere else, but that's just kind of where they seemed like they went. I'll do a little more research, or I'll ask and see kind of if that's actually where those go. It's gonna be a very full engine bay, and then the exhaust has to go back kind of down in this way, and then kind of over here. You can see the differences here. I mean, these things are very different. Okay, so as you just saw, rear brakes are on. They bolted right up, no issues. You might notice I didn't torque anything down or do any of that. I still have to pull all that stuff off. I gotta clean it all, and then I'm gonna repaint all the calipers because they were just like rattle canned red. I don't want them to be red. As cool as red can be, it does look pretty, makes them pop for sure, but I just don't want red. It's too flashy. Anyway, so brakes are on, subframe is swapped, engine is in the car. The only thing left to do is the rear differential. Another thing we get to figure out in this whole process is this front assembly. This is actually broken. Right down here, the radiator just kind of hangs off of there, but this is not the radiator I'm gonna be using because this radiator is not compatible with this engine, which is fine. I have a new one coming for the actual 4OT. That will be one more step that we'll have to do. All right, so I've gotten the axles removed. It was, as always, a little bit tricky, but these are an M8 triple square. So what I ended up doing is I used this Hercules extended ratchet, power ratchet thing. These are one of the most helpful tools I have. And then it's got the M8 triple square from Icon. And then I use these swivel sockets, but all my swivel sockets I put electrical tape on them so that they don't just flop around. It gives them a little bit of rigidity so they can like keep their angle, but it still allows them to flex and move around. Anyways, this was actually able to break them loose. If you're doing this on your car, you could probably just use like the parking brake and turn the parking brake on, except none of my brake lines are hooked up and the car has no battery in it because obvious reasons, it has no engine in it. So that is why I couldn't use the traditional parking brake. However, we got it anyway. Now, next up, what we need to do is get these two bolts up here, and then that will drop down the entire differential. And I'll probably lower the car back down because I don't want to risk dropping the differential. Also, you saw I pulled these bolts loose. These things are extremely tight. So what you have to do is use a 19mm hex Allen whatever bit, and then some really big wrench. So I have a 3/4 inch, I call it the Goliath wrench, big old extendable ratchet. Anyway, so I pulled those off before I lifted the car up off the ground. So now what I can do is unthread this a little ways and then just bump it with a hammer, and then that'll push that axle shaft right out of the car. Unfortunately, I could not get the axle shafts, or I cannot get them out as is. I either need to remove part of the knuckle so that I can pull the suspension out to get this actual shaft out of there, or I just wait until I get the differential out, then it's out of my way. So what we're gonna do is drop the differential, and then, because these do go up and they do clear going upwards, but not down. So I should be able to pull the differential down and out, and then pull the axles out, and then put the new axles in, and then put the new differential in. That looks like that is everything. So basically, it's just not coming out. So we gotta take this bracket off, which is gonna be fun because all this is kind of now just dangling here. We've got two ratchet straps going each direction and a jack holding this thing up. So hopefully it doesn't fall. So this is what was causing all my issues, holding me up. she is. That thing's tiny. We got it out. Let me pull my axles out while I'm here. Everything is proving to be just a little bit more difficult than I thought. Well, I will get these pulled out and then we'll move forward. It was a little bit of a battle, but we did manage to get the differential out. So axles, I was actually able to just force them out. So this is the differential out of the A4. As you can see, it is much smaller than the differential that I got out of the manual S4. I need to make a decision because I can do one of two things. I can either bolt this in the car and just run it. I would have to buy new axles because I don't have the axles for this wider differential. And I can just not plug it in and just run it and just see what it does. I could try to get the wiring to work eventually and just kind of like run the sport diff. However, these can be problematic if you're putting high horsepower into them and things like that. My other option is to send this differential off and have it completely rebuilt, re-geared with a traditional limited slip out of from Wave Track or something like that. Then I can use my standard axles and this thing should be able to handle whatever I can throw at it. Now I'd probably have to upgrade this brace here, but it wouldn't be the end of the world, and that's quite expensive and will take some time. So yeah, that's what I need to figure out. I think these flanges are actually quite a bit bigger than these ones. But yeah, you can see here, if I turn this, you can see this one turns opposite direction. So this is clearly not a limited slip. This one, even not plugged in, actually does kind of act like a limited slip. It seems to be, at least. So I don't know, maybe you just don't plug that in, just put it in there. And if there's a way that I can hot wire it essentially to just permanently stay locked and just be basically a locked sport diff, maybe I can do that. But yeah, so that's the decision we have to make. I gotta figure out how much axles are gonna cost for the new differential, and then we need to figure all that out and go from there. The reason I'm documenting all of this is so that you guys don't have to do all this stuff. I'll do it all for you. But yeah, so that's where we're at. I'm going to do some research, figure out what we're gonna do. I'm kind of leaning towards just bolting that sport diff in the car and just running it as is, and then maybe sending the other one off to get built. And that way down the road, once this sport differential finally goes, it's not that hard to get out, swap them out, put in a traditional limited slip that's built and can handle all the power I can throw at it. Because ideally this car doesn't stay stock power forever. I say stock power, the 4.0, the V8 that I'm putting in it, has 430 horsepower from the factory. I'll probably up that to 550, 570. But then eventually I'll probably go 600, 700. And if we ever get a built 4.0T, put it in this car, if I ever decide I want to race this car, then we might be doing stuff, in the thousands. And then we'll need transmission to be built. We'll need the differential will obviously need to be built. We'll need upgraded axles, all that jazz. But we'll see. Honestly, if the YouTube stuff works out and you guys want to see a lot and it gets a lot of support, I'll do what I need to do. That's all I'm gonna get done on this car for probably this week. Like I said, this is a fully functioning shop. I have customer cars, I got things to do. So I can only really work on this in the weekends, and I've been super busy. So this is just what I got done this weekend, and we will get on it again. I'm trying to work on it every week rather than once a month. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe. I appreciate all your guys' support. If you have questions, throw them down below. Happy to answer those. And yeah, we'll get this A3 up and running. I might make a video on that, and then the A4 will get up and going, and it'll be a wild car. But stay tuned. See you guys in the next video.